into what they love, but that can also lead into a successful career. Now, for many of you, you all know that already, but hopefully we're going to give you a few resources and things so that you can guide students and parents to back this up with some information. And for that, I know that, again, we are the UK institutions, but we do hope that you can promote this again in the US, for US institutions, for Australian institutions. The same thing will apply. And so we will be looking at some case studies, some external resources, and then hopefully giving you enough time to answer those questions there. So we could get to the next slide there. So what do we mean by unconventional degrees? Now, if I had a rupee or a penny for every time that I got asked about computing, I probably would be able to fund a computing degree at Imperial. It is that common a question. But when you ask the students what do they actually want to end up doing, it might be something to help businesses back home. I had a great session earlier where it was talking about tier 3 and tier 2 cities, and how the students are looking to build up their interest for family businesses and come back and support the family businesses. But we hope that by building up unconventional degrees, that they could take a degree in kind of film studies and TV studies and management or music, and still be able to support their businesses back home. That the skills that they're learning from these unconventional degrees, whether it be in arts and sciences or law and music, for example, that they will still be able to take away the skills and apply them to the businesses back home. That the transferable skills that we're seeing that employers are recognizing, that they can take these more unconventional routes and lead them into more conventional, if that's what they want, paths. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Manju now for a few examples, and we're going to start with the example of medicine.
Thank you, Sara. Thank you. You actually set up the floor, and thanks all of you for coming with your valuable time. So as we see, especially for our Indian students, that if they want to apply for medicine, it is the most challenging. In India, as well as overseas, we see that medicine, if the student is interested, most likely we suggest like, okay, you apply to UK. You apply to Ireland. You apply to Australia. Because US, you cannot apply directly for medicine. Canada, again. And when we see that students also would like to go to UK for medicine, but then we see international students have only 7% admit, isn't it? Because they are bound by a law. The universities are bound by a UK law, that they can have only 7% seats for medicine for international students. So when it is said international students, it's not only Indian students. It's worldwide. So you see how thin probability comes in, isn't it? That's why the example over here is taken for medicine. So when a student comes to a counselor that I'm interested for medicine, is it echoing or is it comfortable? Yeah, okay, thank you. I thought, sorry. So, it's not only medicine now. There are so many unconventional degrees available, which if we know, we can inform these students. Yes, of course, it depends that student is interested for those, has the aptitude, skills related to that, budget. So many things actually are there, but at the same time, we can have like, you have these things also. You have these degrees which you can pursue. So we see that when medicine, it's not only that we need to go for allopathic. There are complementary or alternative medicines available. They can go for homeopathic, Ayurvedic, Unani medicines. We see like now how the world is going for herbal things. Isn't it? When even we buy some product, we try, okay, if we see that if this is herbal, it will not give us any harm. Isn't it? Because now research are proving even if you are taking, medicine, the allopathic medicine for a longer duration, this may heal something, but this may harm somewhere else, right? Whereas the research is proving that you do not have any side effect of homeopathic and Ayurvedic, right? So those options are there, and we need to be futuristic. As Sara said, that it is not that we are not preparing those students for today. We are preparing them for tomorrow, which is uncertain. COVID has, given us this thought that we need to think out of the box. We may face anything and any time. It's so uncertain. So with that, and now as we see that now even around us, there are so many pets, so many animals are there. People are becoming more animal lover, isn't it? When I interact with the youngsters and they say, no, they are not interested to have their own kids. My own 2 children, they say, they would not like to have children. They would better like to have the dogs in their home. And recently when I went to Seattle, that time, again, we had this, discussion, and my son told me, do you know, the data of Seattle says that there are more registered dogs are there than the kids. So he gave me that data also. So that's how you see how then the animals or the pets are actually increasing, and that's how it says that opportunity to know and become the vet doctor or to know veterinary sciences is really a lot. You would have heard now a lot, I have seen hoardings that vet cafe is coming. Now the cafes are there where you can go and play with the dogs and with cats, and then you can have your coffee also. Recently, my daughter went for her hair color, and I went with her, and I saw there also they had dogs and cats over there. So you can come, you are like on swings when you are waiting for your hair to dry, and you can play with them. Because these works as play therapy as well. So you have these, think about these unconventional degrees that one can go. Then when COVID has proven that it's not only the doctors, there are life sciences which are required. We all were looking forward for vaccine for COVID, right? So those were not the doctors who were actually working for these, right? That has given us that, virology is also one of the things, Biochemistries, those scientists were working over there. That's how we need that people are now having a lot of issues because they are doing their sitting jobs. Their nervous system is getting breakdown. It's breaking like anything. Isn't it? And that's how neurosciences, how even one sentence of the parent or the teacher is actually making the difference in the child's life, in her thought process. And that is leading to the feelings as well. And that's how neurosciences, psychology. The research has proven that yes, the age span is increasing. And with that, we see that we would be having more elderly people in the times to come. World Economic Forum has actually published the report also. By 2030, every second person may be an elderly person. And that's how it says, then the jobs and the work related to those elderly will also increase. So we can think about those, because dementia will also be there, right? Health issues will be there. Even the shops related to, their products, what they need that time. So a lot of things are there. Health sciences, governments are working for health policies. So the courses are there for these, right? Health technology, because we see that now, even the 3D organs are coming. Scientists are working for these things. I was watching the other day also video that, they are working now to bring the 3D heart which pumps the same way as our heart pumps, so that they need not to go for the open heart surgery. And they need not to go that whether this suits to this blood group and this sort of body or not. So these are the things we need to think, and for that we actually ourselves need to do a lot of research also, right? We need to know those things. Then when lifespan is increasing, then of course, how that health should be economically also. Health economics, how the government should work, how the individuals need to work. So there are a lot of courses about these at the undergraduate level. Then hospital management. We all see we do not want to go to the hospitals which are dirty, which are not managed well. We want to go to the hospital which is like, 5-star or 7-star, and we go and we get services, We feel happy. Because time is money. We do not want to wait. We want that, yes, we are getting the hygienic and prompt services. Isn't it? So hospital management is another one. Then I found one very interesting that, yes, we have marine life sciences, and we see that, especially like, now I am in Mumbai, and I went Marine Drive. I sat over there, and I found like, it stinks. It stinks, And then I felt like, with this dirty ocean, what would be about the life of marine? What about those fish? The other animals who are there? So life about this marine sciences, it's not only about the animals, it's about the lot of things which are under the ocean. So with that, I was thinking, and I came to know that the child may be interested in, biology and history. Interesting course I came to know, which is called marine archaeology. That if you are interested in history, so what is the history of the underwater? Like, many of you would have watched Titanic. How many of you have watched Titanic movie? Oh God, very nice. So of course you can now understand, how that works, right? Okay, with that, wildlife sciences, because we are watching that, yes, the animals we really want, and this actually make a circle of our environment. If we say save the tiger, we need to save a rabbit also. Isn't it? Because it's a cycle, who eats what? And if we need to save the rabbit, then we need to save the trees also, the plants also. Isn't it? So how that wildlife sciences can work. Moving further, we all have health issues. It's one thing or something, isn't it? I have cervical pain, my knee is paining, isn't it? Something or the other. Then what about physiotherapy, a career, and where people are paying for 40 minutes. I paid it. Recently, before my summer vacation, I started walking a lot on Marine Drive, and I don't know, I do a lot of walk and talk. So in that, I didn't realize that I walked too much because my call was longer. And then later, I found that, oh my God, I have sprain in my knee. And I asked some doctor, because I still do not know much about Mumbai, and I got one physiotherapist, and I spoke to her, and I called her at home, and I paid 1,800 rupees for 40 minutes. I said, wow, that's really good. Isn't it? That she came to my home, 40 minutes, 1,800, so how many can she earn in a day? That's great. So that's how physiotherapy, exercise sciences, kinesiology, we see that these courses are there in the universities. Students can consider this, those who are thinking about medicine. So there are so many careers and so many degrees available which are leading to these careers. Okay, with that, the question comes then, how as a counselor, I should know about those resources? How should I get the information? And if I get the information, how should I disseminate that information? Isn't it? That is also one of the challenges. How can I convince the students and parents? So these questions, you can see here that you can always see university websites. You would have interacted with so many universities here. Is there anyone who can tell me, or maybe few people who have asked the universities, is there any recent course included in your university degrees courses? Okay. Thank you. So, That's very good. If you are, that's very good. I appreciate that. So my question always comes like, sometime, like recently we had 2 universities in our school. There also I asked, like, for them university said that we have not included any new course, but we have brought the changes in the existing courses. And she said, like, because of the communication now, how it is needed, we have brought a different, like, course in global communication, which was part of the other one. So the electives may have changed. So please, whenever you meet them or see their new prospectus, brochures, what are the new courses, because they are also working a lot to know what are the requirements, okay? You can talk to delegates, like as I said, okay? Even now also you can talk to many. You can have expert talks who are working in those fields. I'll say, like, if you have invited a doctor, you may invite like 2-3 doctors of different fields. You can ask them, because they would also be knowing what research is going on. So what is the need for, that particular career also in the times to come. So they may come up like, where you can think of, oh, this can be also be a degree, so let me ask then university delegates also, right? It's like that. You can take your students on field trips, industry trips. They will understand what all is going on there, what sort of work they are doing. So maybe that sort of degree would be there. Otherwise, it doesn't come that sort of degree will also be there. And of course, the universities also offer so many courses, like 150, 250, like Ohio University, 250 courses. How can I know all those? Isn't it? But we need to go through just a glance, at least the new course especially, because the world is changing. Isn't it? Then you can have panel discussions. As I said, that you may have doctor, you may have different field people also, where you have panel discussions. You can invite your parent body for that. Why to spend money? Use the data of the parent. Use the data of your alumni. Invite them, have panel discussion, and now COVID has opened the door of, Zoom also, right? And like IC3 is hybrid. So we can have this sort of also that few people are there and the other ones are over online. Hi. So, yes, you can provide parents' involvement. You can provide certain projects to your students also. It's not that everything as a counselor you need to do. Ask your students, okay, that this one university I'm giving you, you would be having 10, 15 students. Give them one prospectus. Give them one university that, okay, bring me what the important courses you think that will be, there down the line, maybe 5 years. Give them, let them come, what they are bringing up, ask them to put up on charts or on A4 sheet, put it up on bulletin board. Let the other students also know, and then see that the work by one student actually is seen by so many other students and the parents, and that is going to help so many people. And then you might get more questions. Isn't it? Leading to those, right? You can even share the, some blogs, links or something like, have bulk communication, because otherwise your students and parents will also, what the hell? She keeps sending or he keeps sending mails here and now. Okay, then they will not look at your emails also. You can have career talks. Career talk is like one topic you have prepared and you are delivering that, right? Then offer internships. As much as you can help, like your students may also manage internship on their own. But again, I always say, use the parent data. And you have good parent data. Request to them that, provide some summer internship or maybe exposure even for weekend. That is going to help them understand, this sort of degrees may be there because these sort of careers are there. Or this sort of degree is there, so this can lead to this sort of career. Isn't it? It's always backward and forward, right? And of course, university fair. Like yesterday, I couldn't visit all the universities. I couldn't. So we need to have many, many university fairs, isn't it? We need. And otherwise also in this, like I couldn't visit all the universities, and whichever I visited also, I couldn't talk to them. It was just exchange of card, isn't it? So there are these, you can have workshops, you can ask universities even to, their faculty, if they can come even online and you can have workshops. I had in person and offline and online both ways, and I saw that how the students have really enjoyed. Because they are the expert of that particular field, they can tell you what degrees and the careers can be. With that, there would be a lot of research, and with this, another thing, the most important thing is, you can always look at the labor statistics. What the labor statistics says, that the growth in particular career will be there. What would be the demand of the people by whatever the years. So that statistics is always there, whether you look at Outlook Handbook of the US, UK, India. Every year the new data comes in. What sort of careers have taken the growth? What has gone down? What they are thinking that how many careers or jobs will be there in that particular. We have provided the links in our presentation also, which will be shared with you whenever IC3 will work on this. This is just for a glance that you can see. This is one of the handbook, and that handbook link is also given in that. Okay, so this is how we can know, because we are not preparing the students for today. We are preparing them for tomorrow, which is uncertain, undiscovered. Nobody knows. Isn't it? Thank you so much. With this, I would request Vir, who is going to speak a lot about the skills, because you may know about McKinsey report and the gap between the education degree and the professional things, right? The jobs. So Vir will take it up, that journey.
Thank you. Let me start by apologizing in advance. No one's asking me why also. We're traditional Indian students, I think. Then we don't ask questions. Because I can't be as entertaining as her. Okay? But what I will try and do, and I've got data to talk about, because one of the concerns that both parents and students have with unconventional degrees is, what do you do with that? Can you get a job after that, and can you not? So I think the first thing that I want to talk about is, I think we need to be unbiased in our own minds. When I went to university in 2012, my father used to say, join a company and you'll progress through that company. You become an analyst, associate, whatever, so on. That's the career path that a lot of us have seen. And for this generation, that's what their parents have seen as well. That linear career path is no longer active today. So you need to build skill sets that will allow you to not only jump from one company to the other. It's very rare that you see someone who's staying on in the same company. And within a company, you'll be jumping into different jobs as well. So if you have a particular set of skills or knowledge base in just one particular field, you will find it difficult to do that. So that linear career path is no longer active, and data has shown that. Another thing that we need to look at is we need solutions today. So I have a professor who came and he spoke to a bunch of students in Bombay, and he researches climate change, and he does this through the air bubbles in glaciers in the North and South Pole. So the bubbles will tell you exactly how old that piece of ice is. But let's talk about the water problem today. If we actually got a piece of this glacier that's been separated and we bring it to, let's say, the continent of Africa, we could solve the water crisis over there. But that doesn't require engineers. It also requires people who deal with policy. It requires nations to come together. It requires social anthropology majors. It requires sustainability majors. Till everyone doesn't sit on the table to address these questions, we won't go anywhere. So I think it's a need of the hour as well. So, and we also know, we mentioned the McKinsey report, but about 40% of employers said that there was a lack of skills, which was a major reason of a vacancy in entry-level jobs. So we keep talking about there's no jobs in the world and so on and so forth, but are we equipping our students with the skills to take those jobs? And that's a question we need to ask. And another stat to give you is that 60% of the new graduates were not prepared to work. There were gaps not just in technical skills, but also in social skills. Communication skills, exactly, like you rightly said. So do we, there's always this question, do we need the arts and the humanities? And we need it more than ever right now. We've got machines, we've got artificial learning, but who's going to ask the question that what we're doing, is it morally or ethically correct? We need our philosophy majors, we need our history majors as well. So with that, I'm a little, okay, this hasn't come across clearly, but this is a Deloitte report, which is from some time back now. But what this is actually trying to show is all the careers that over the last decade or so that have increased in the number of jobs, they've had a mix of social skills and mathematical skills. So it's incredibly incorrect to feel that it's only the computer scientists or the mathematicians that are progressing. Those jobs that were purely based on mathematics or computer science, they haven't grown as well. Equally, jobs that are purely based on social skills, they've also not survived. So you have to have a mix of the two, and that's where the jobs are today, and have been for the last decade. So it's not a new trend, it's been around for a while. Okay, I'm not sure, so I'm covering some points over there, but there's some examples here. You know, let's talk about eco-technology. We're talking about peace and conflict studies, open e-government, water resource planning, urban planning, energy for cities. Our cities are growing beyond their capacity. Who's going to plan for this? So any patterns that you're seeing, you know, let me know, and I'll just explain a few. But, you know, we are seeing this STEM to STEAM. STEAM, the A refers to the arts. And you know, we're very quick to jump and say everything is about technology. But let's take these examples over here. It's not just technology. Business with technology is data analytics. Healthcare with technology is digital science. So it's technology with another core subject, and this is where unconventional degrees come in. They equip you with the skills, because these are the careers that people are now looking at. So another thing that you, and I'll quickly talk about this, but you don't need just the hard skills. So the hard skills are the technical skills. You need the soft skills as well, the networking. You need to know how to communicate. Can you work in a team? How many of us are scared when we come up on stage? And I'll share a personal example. We had a joint module with the Department of Computer Science. So I'm a hardcore business and marketing person, and you know, and we went up and we did a presentation, and we were so confident in what we were presenting. And we found that the computer scientists, you could see their hands were shaking a little, right? So when they go into the workforce, are they going to be able to talk to people? They might have the best software available, or they might have built the best company. Can you sell it to the other person? Can you talk to someone about it and convince them that they should be using your business over someone else's? So those skills are really important. And so my question to you is, are these the skills we need, or are the skills we need in conventional degrees too? So again, it's just thinking about. You can't hear? Should I take that one? Is this better? Oh, do I start again? Okay, next slide, please. Okay, let's talk about soft skills. So this is what we need. Next slide. Yeah. So let's look at the 10 employability skills that we need today. We need initiative, self-motivation, organizational skills, ability to adapt and learn. My first job in London, my manager asked for some work. I gave that to her, and she tore it apart and put it in the bin and said, do a better job. Are you going to sit there and cry and quit your job, or are you going to have the ability to be strong, take it on the chin, and improve the next time? Teamwork, negotiation skills. And negotiation is in everything. You're sitting with your friend, and you say, should we have Chinese today, or should we have Indian food? Who's a better negotiator? It's a life skill. Diversity. The access is the theme of this conference. So are we valuing that? Do we know what it's like? You're working in KPMG today, your global office is going to be in London or Hong Kong or somewhere else. Are you going to understand their culture? So do you have that awareness? Problem solving. And of course, it's impossible today to adapt to any job if you don't have, you know, the IT skills that are there. So I tell my English, you know, anyone going to study at St. Andrews and they're doing English, I said, do a course in Excel as well. Take up an evening course, equip yourself in the skills you need so that you're competitive in the job market. Equally, if you're doing computer science, go and debate. or join something where you're learning those soft skills as well. So it's again the mixture of the two. Next slide, please. So again, you need to have these skills, but also when we talk about the student journey, one big aspect that we ignore is independent learning. We are not there as universities to handhold students anymore. Schools do a brilliant job in that, but when a student comes to university, are schools preparing their students for that journey, that you are going to have to manage your time? No one's going to tell you to come in at 9 o'clock, and if you come in at 9:02, your parents are going to get a letter, and so on and so forth. You have to manage your time when you want to do your assignments, when you want to learn, when you want to do your extracurricular activities. If you play sports, you want to do something else. So do you have that ability to be independent, managing your deadlines, preparing for your field trips, and are you willing to be proactive and take that extra step? No university today is going to be able to say, I can guarantee jobs. It's just not a thing. Who's going to be competitive? It's those students who equip themselves, they've worked on their CVs, they've developed their hard skills, soft skills, and they know what careers are about. And hopefully they've done some unconventional degrees and it'll make their jobs easier. So that's just a little bit about employability skills and so on. Next slide. I think we'll. So I'm going to hand over to Namita, and we'll take you through some case studies, and I'll come in as well in the middle.
Thank you, Vir. Thank you for setting the right tempo. Next, before we proceed to the next slide, just holding on to the unconventional degree slide right now. I'll begin by sharing an example of an unconventional degree and the career that it has led to. Many of us might already be aware as to who Shaktikanta Das is. Shaktikanta Rao, to be precise. Or Das, I'm sorry, Shaktikanta Das it is. Do we know the qualifications of Shaktikanta Das, who is the Governor of Reserve Bank of India? He's studied a bachelor's of history and also a master's of history from St. Stephen's College, India. I'm thankful to my colleague who pointed out this to me in the morning, and that's how I'm going to begin by introducing unconventional degree careers to you. Next slide, please. We've picked up a couple of case studies wherein some students from across our universities have picked up some unconventional degrees and the careers that those degrees have led them on to. What do we mean by unconventional degrees have already been communicated, but what points I'm going to stress upon will be flexibility, freedom to choose, the critical thinking skills, and last and the most important, how open you are to study that subject. How well are you connected with that subject? Because let's give our kids that platform to study whatever they want to study and then take up those skills, because at the end, one quick thing that we must want to note will be most of the employers these days will not mention the kind of degree in their job opening program that they publicize on the newspapers or different magazines. What they need is critical thinking skills. What they need is skills that can be transferred. So for that, whatever degree that your kid might have studied, it is mostly important that what skills is he bringing on the table. One good example from a student at UCL who was studying BA Class 6, surprisingly, he is now working with Deloitte in financial taxation. So his case study is here. The point that the student wanted to focus was on freedom to choose from different modules that were available. Because at the end of the day, the student should be motivated to study that subject. And the later things can be definitely taken forward in the upcoming modules. So what this student wanted to convey was, he was interested in studying classics. His career might have led him to a path of studying taxation, maybe later on, and that's how he was picked on for a job by Deloitte Consulting. Moving on to the next slide. One great example of studying a degree like Ancient World, a BA in Ancient World, many of us, the parents, the counselors, some of the kids as well might think, what will a degree in Ancient World lead me to? But here is a live example of a student who's now working with Bank of England. Now, if you see, in the first year, the student is motivated to study a program of his interest. Because right now, let's just be real. Students might be confused. They might be still discovering their ways in order what to study. They're not very clear. Some of us sitting here, your kids, the parents, might already be well versed with what they want to study, where they see their kids, and that's totally fantastic. But for the kids and educators, still discovering the ways as to what way their kids might follow, I think promote the interdisciplinary studies, promote the different variety of programs that so many universities offer. Many of the Indian universities also do so many liberal arts degrees for that matter. So please promote that, and we can see one example here. And if you move on to the last example, the next slide, thank you. So this is very interesting. This is one-of-a-kind program. I'm sure that there are other universities with a different, that they've defined their degrees with a different name. One of the degrees is a Bachelor's of Arts and Science program. This degree not only incorporates arts, but social sciences and science specialisms at the same time. So students, as we very well pointed out, the example of the computer science student who is kind of hesitant to present on a public platform, I must say students who have a knack for engineering, computer science, management, liberal arts kind of programs should definitely consider this program, because the kind of the in-depth module of different sectors that this degree provides is totally fantastic. And at the moment, I was just going on to LinkedIn, connecting with some recent graduates from different universities across India, UK, Canada, and other institutions. I connected with a student who did his philosophy from a very reputed London-based institution. You'll be surprised to know he's working with Deutsche Bank at the moment after studying a philosophy degree. So that actually tells us what is the trend in the market. I'm quoting one of my colleagues here, and he mentioned that about 75% of jobs in the UK doesn't specify as to what qualification they require from a candidate. They are looking for skills. They are looking for skills that can be transferred. They are looking for smart individuals who actually know, because at the end of the day, if you're a graduate, maybe a BA English Lit, and you've landed a job in a banking or maybe a consulting firm, you are the most interesting person to talk to in a room filled with all geeks, I must say. So I think that what makes studying a offbeat degree really interesting. So with that, I think I like to keep it really short and open the floor for question and answers. So yeah, these are our resources. We can have them emailed to. Perfect, so I'll hand it over to Sara, and we'll open the round for question and answers. Thank you very much.
Great, that was amazing. And I know we've got a range of different examples, and we do have a huge list of resources that we have compiled that may make referencing things when you are talking to students and parents about their journey. Just some reports. We know that often what you're faced with most is parents, and it is providing those examples, those reference points. And hopefully this has kind of highlighted probably things that you've already come across, what you already know, that so many degrees lead to a variety of different career paths. But hopefully this kind of outlines different routes that are available, and also the resources that you can reference when speaking to students and parents going forward. And hoping that through Vir's information, it's not that linear career path. It is those soft skills that are more emerging and more important in those kind of employer needs at the moment. But yes, we would like to take questions from the audience. If there is something, do you have?
I appreciate the fact that the unconventional degrees are starting everywhere, and if you look at UK and US as a basic area, there this idea is appreciated. Let's talk about India. Right, and I think because we are all here from schools where we are all Indian schools, maybe somebody's IB, somebody's Cambridge, but then let's say somebody takes a philosophy degree, what is the probability that he will get a bank job the way you have shared in the case studies? So if you have any experiences around that, if you can share that, right, then we can promote children to take these unconventional approaches.
Thank you for asking this question. This is really a valid question. So now when we see that the universities, of course, we know that the government universities are still functioning on a very stringent, system, yeah. But with that, I must appreciate, and we all appreciate that new education policy has come up. With that new education policy, the changes in our education systems are there. And that's how now they are working. When at this level of a school they are working, that we can have, different subject combination. And definitely when these different subject combination, students will look for universities. They will also look forward then the different system, right? And that will lead, yes. So, no. So we need to promote that. That is how when 5-7 years, down the line, these students will be in the job market and these jobs will be there. Because McKinsey has published this report that what is the difference of, in the education and the requirement of the job market. Okay, and that's how they have published that skill set is actually missing. And so many times, Narayana Murthy has also spoken about this. So this is a talk in even IITs also. And we see that the new age universities, which are the private universities, they have also come up with these courses. Even Flame University, I visited that university. And they have this, that you can merge two subjects. It's not necessary. And I give you an example, a very old example though, and that time this of course, no NEP and no talks were there. I'm not in touch of that student now, but one of my students those days I was with CBSE, and that student was like literally, I don't know, I do not want to go in any stream because I'm not falling in that that one stream which subjects it is, offering. I'm not falling in that. Okay, then what do you want? I like to play sports. That is my main thing. With that, I find that, because in my sports also we talk about the dimension and all these things, so I'm interested in physics. And I like English. Now you tell me. I don't like anything else. I said, okay. So, then we need to work with the school management. Of course, I understand administratively providing those subjects, managing the timetable becomes the challenging for school. Okay. But then if we can work on this, we can provide such opportunity. And of course, now the NEP is telling. So school will work that way. Okay. So that student, he opted physics, English. Okay. We provided such combination, different combination with the sports. And he is working for sports journalism. So that's how we need to come up with these things, that the child wants to, maybe is interested in, then we have so many tech gurus, isn't it? We watch, they tell us that, okay, this car is good, this car has this thing, that thing. So what is all that? Of course, their communications are good. That's why they are telling, they're recording, we are listening to them. They are doing all those reviews. It's not necessary they would have done some electronic or computer science engineering. Not necessary. So what actually Sara and we said, like skills required. We see even in doctors also, one of the doctor, the rush is there is a queue and we wait for, our time to come that where we will be having, and the other doctor nearby, I've seen this actually, is sitting free and nobody is going. Why? Because one of the doctor is talking to us in such a way that, he must be writing his prescription later on. But before that, he is working on our psyche. With his communication, he made me relax so much that I'll want to go next time also, whether he's just giving me like maybe sugar pills or whatever it is, isn't it? But I am going because I feel relaxed then and I'm paying that. So that's how, so we need to come up, and that's how we will prepare them for tomorrow.
Great.
Of
So
course.
I just want to, hi, I have Mike. Thank you so much, Sara, Namita, Vir, Manju ma'am, for whatever part of the presentation I was of. Great slides and everything that you put out there. But one thing maybe as counselors or as schools we can do is get the industry involved, right? They need to be involved because they are taking the products from the school. They should kindly come and tell us that these are the skills we are looking for in your students. we start preparing them from 8th grade onwards, or earlier if at all. Get them prepared at an earlier stage. Let us involve them in building the curriculum for us. And that's where I feel will be the differentiating factor. So all the new age schools, and I would say all the colleges that are coming up and are promoting new age education are doing exactly that. Building curriculum with the industry just to make sure that these kids are employable eventually, because this is what you have asked for. Great, so that was just my addition, but thank you for that presentation.
Thank you so much. That's why we said that industry or field trips and involvement of parents, because they are working in the different sectors. So when they are involved, this gap will be filled. Yes, sir, please.
And I'm just responding to that point of involving industries. My name is Rajgopal. We've got to be very careful here. I've been in the industry and then now in higher education. We can't be talking to industry which may not be there in the next 5 years, right? So to be extremely careful what we are bringing in from the industry into the academic space, because academic space should be also about building perspectives, bringing perspectives. The philosophy question is what is missing in the Indian education curriculum, right? If we had engineers who had learned sociology of modern India or philosophy, we would have better products here. So I'll stop here. So we have to be extremely careful what we're bringing in from the industry into the academic space. Thank you. And I really liked what Vir said about no university can guarantee jobs. But what we can say is, if you have a good degree, jobs will chase you. Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to add that's, I absolutely agree in terms of bringing industry in, but the more students and schools I'm visiting, the more the students are already starting their own businesses. I'm meeting 15, 16-year-olds that have already, I've already started a company. I've already, set up a website. It's amazing what they're doing. We should really be empowering them to know how to patent, to know how to build their own skills. And then they don't, in the future, I think universities are in trouble because they won't need us, potentially. They will have started their own companies and they will already be doing the Fortune 500 by themselves. But that's great. We start that, and industry, leaders who have, are self-made, bringing up the skills, it's that, the skills development really starts in the schools, and you're empowering them to maybe carve their own path. I mean, at all institutions, we're seeing more and more students actually coming out with, their own degree their own, businesses and startups, and that's fantastic. And if that can start even earlier in schools, great, that's what we should be empowering. But absolutely, it's the skills, again, empowering. That's what we should be doing.
I'm sorry, this is my pet topic and go on, but you said the youngsters starting business, right? What a university could do is tell them about social businesses. You run a business without protecting, do it by protecting the earth, protecting the resources, right? So that's where I think the university space comes in, where everything's not market-driven. Thanks.
Just to add over there, and going back to your question about jobs, I think we also need to, mostly everyone here from India? Anyone from outside India here? Okay, so this is a little India-specific, this answer, but also worth understanding that we're the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, after China and the United States. And about 12 to 15% is our annual growth in terms of the startup ecosystem. And startups don't think the way traditional universities think. And they're more open to hiring graduates that come from a variety of backgrounds because they value that diversity that comes with it. So maybe just something to think about going forward. And we won't know what jobs are available in 10 years. So the best time to start was yesterday.
Actually, I just wanted to add a point when we are talking about universities and students and what high schools can do. I actually want to share a case study and a serendipitous learning that we had. I run a job shadow program for my students, and we placed them in a startup. They were a group of 3 students, and we placed them in a startup. The advantage was the startup was open to ideas. They were open to ideas, and they were open to learning from my students. In fact, my students helped them start a new product, a line of products that they had not thought about at all. The startup was is actually a fintech company which works with students and parents, but they had not thought of higher education. They'd only thought about high school. And my students who are going to go to college actually made them think, made them introduce a new product. So I think it is also when we say collaboration, right? It's not about what we bring here or what we bring there. It's about setting the right context, because the context was set with the company, with the startup founders. Luckily, it was, like we rightly pointed out, having them work with the startup helped in this case because they were open to ideas. They were open to, they had a brief about what the students were doing in their high school courses, and they had that, and that is what they used as a template to have discussions. And those discussions, the children were able to take it forward with their own ideas because they were thinking through, and they were able to add their experiences to what the company was going forward with, because they were exposed to what the company was looking at. And I think that is a value that we as counselors can always build. It's real life skills, but yes, we need a lot more support, both from universities as well as industry, to help our students be ready.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's a great point and example as well for everyone. I think maybe one question and then we'll probably wind up.
Hi, this is Stanley. I'm an entrepreneur. So I think one thing that to challenge the counselors, right, is that I think for youth, right, because I'm always speaking to a lot of interns and I take them. One of my most impressive intern came in having done 120 hours of Coursera program, before even going to college, right? By the time he hit college, I'm like, well, this guy is going to be a millionaire before he graduates. But anyway, the main point though is that I think the difficulty is in courage, like the courage to take a path that does not exist, right? I think a lot of us counselors, we're trying to create a framework for students to follow. But for them to acquire transferable skills, for them to pursue a career that never exists now, takes a lot of courage. And I think, I know we all encourage people to fail and our students to dare to fail. But I think the reality though is in a school context, when I go to a lot of schools and talk to teachers and principals, they don't allow the students to fail, honestly, right? And I think the challenge here is how do we breed this courage in students? And that is the really key and difficult thing that I think all of us educators have to do. Thank you.
I think adding on to your point about encouraging students, the best way is to lead by an example, study success stories with them. Most of the university reps here, or maybe your school alums, have gone on to do such great things. Let's highlight them, let's encourage them, and that's the only way we can actually ask them to take a career path that's less traveled by, as everyone says. So I think let's all do that. Thank you.
Well, I wanted to say the same thing about the parents, which are the important stakeholders. As far as the case studies are concerned, there are many cases which can be discussed, wherein a student steps in and he says, okay, I want to be a musician. And the parent comes up and says, okay, that is fine, let him appear for IIT first. So, there are a lot of clashes on that front. So how the parents can be, taught about, or you can say they can be made aware of these unconventional careers, because we can definitely call them careers which are at high risk. You can be successful, but at the same time, you might not.
But isn't that with any degree though?
But parents, they would prefer their child sitting idle being a doctor rather than him becoming a musician.
Sachin Tendulkar. And that's how they became what they are. And they are now legends, and so many kids look up to them like, they want to become like that. But it was really wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Yeah, enjoy.